Cassie, again, as a literacy coach and literacy coordinator, tell me about how does professional learning look, sort of big picture, in Rome City schools?
Well, we're very fortunate in Rome City schools that each school has a literacy coach for job-embedded professional development. But on top of that, at the system level, I come in and we get together like every fifth grade teacher within the whole system will come together on 3 different occasions throughout the school year for system-wide professional development. I've done that for the last 5 or 6 years within the system. We've been very consistent as far as different things that we've trained on. We've spent a lot of time training on reading like a writer and studying mentor text for students to know, with the overarching question of what have you read, like what you're going to write. And so we have guiding questions that we ask the kids whenever they annotate a mentor text, for example. They're looking at it more in the aspect of how is this text put together, what kind of topics do authors of this kind of text write about, what kind of things do authors of this type of text do to make it interesting to the reader. Those kinds of things are what they're looking for, and they know that the teacher guides that with the kids through the context of their lessons and in their group work. So
looking at the piece of writing from the author's point of view, what is the author doing? What strategies and techniques can an author use to communicate their point to a specific audience?
Like how do they organize it? How do they put together? Variety of sentence structure, craft that authors use, the whole 9 yards.
So you attended these, and you've been doing this for how long?
I have been a system level trainer for 5 years.
For 5 years. So you've been working with Cassie. She comes into your classroom as well to work with you on these strategies. And so it comes time to apply it to this lesson. So what did you decide to use for this specific lesson?
Cassie gave us 2 mentor text pieces, one that came from Appendix C in the Common Core, and then another one that came from Laura Robb's book on smart writing. They were both examples of analytical essays. Even though they were at a higher level than the kids, it was still a little easier than Lincoln's speech.
Absolutely.
And the kids, we worked together as a teacher-directed and then both as in small groups with the kids working, looking and reading like a writer for different strategies and things that they would notice that they could use in their own essays when they would begin writing.
So the purpose was to see what strategies this author used to make their point across, and what do I want to use in my own writing? How will I apply it?
Right.
Okay, so what text did you use again? You used what grade level?
One of them was an 8th grade level text, and that was the Old Man and the Sea, which was from Appendix C in the Common Core, and then another one was just middle grades from Laura Robb's book.
Why did you use 8th grade instead of 5th grade?
Well, I chose that one because in that analytical essay of the Old Man and the Sea, the way that it was laid out was very much the vision that I had for what I wanted the students' work to look like in the end. And in all the trainings that I've done over the course of the last few years, we talked a lot about, when kids have an idea of what the finished product should look like, then they have a much easier time with revision and writing and everything, all the way through publishing.
And with that, and I've heard all 3 of you talk a lot about modeling, and that is sort of a cornerstone of your instruction, making sure the kids know exactly and see exactly what the expectations are and what the end looks like before we get started trying. So we have the 2 annotated texts for the audience to see, and then they have to unpack it. So tell me about what that looks like. What are they looking for this specific assignment? What did you have them look for and try to get them to break down?
Well, I'll do this.
Go ahead.
What we did is we had them to look for specific things like what was the point of view, can you find the topic sentence, can you find a thesis statement in the introduction paragraph, is it being restated in the conclusion, what is the body of where is the body of the analytical essay, and things like sentence structure. Spent a lot of time on noticing that these are not just simple sentences, these are complex compound sentences, and this is the way we want you to write.
Okay, so that's where you kind of can throw in your language instruction,
Right.
right? I mean, the question is, where's grammar and language fit into this? 'Cause elementary school is where a lot of that foundational grammar is taught. So I don't see any grammar workbooks.
No.
No.
We teach grammar within the context
Right.
of the writing. And we did a lot of looking at, too, within analyzing these, we talked a lot about cohesion.
Right.
And how does an author or a writer make it cohesive from one paragraph to another.
Right.
So we talked a lot about that.
And that's part of language, and that's part of those language standards. Those are very specific standards in there
Right.
that you're doing, but you're not doing it in isolation. You're doing it they're going to do it, but before they do it, they see it in a mentor text. And then, is there sort of some grammar instruction thrown in there
Well,
in mini lessons?
the kids start to notice different things. They especially in 5th grade love looking for commas. And so with this specifically, we were able to teach introductory phrases and where a comma would go in that place because they found that within these mentor texts. And then we were also able to teach complex sentences with subordinating conjunctions because they saw that in the topic sentences within this mentor essay.
Okay. They love looking for commas?
They do.
Why do they like looking for commas?
Because we tell them they need to be in the right place.
So
so they
It's
look
fun
for
for
them.
them to
Wow.
experiment, with using punctuation.
That's exciting.
Within their pieces. Plus, we did do one specific grammar type lesson with the transitioning sentences from one paragraph to another. We talked about, let's look at this, and okay, in this sentence, they're talking about what they talked about before, but then they're introducing something that they're going to talk about next. So that's kind of all within the context of one sentence. And we really talked to them about, let's find it in the mentor art or the mentor text, and let's practice that.
Let's practice it. Wow.
So.
Okay, so that's some very sophisticated work. So our next topic in our next section is going to be actually looking at how they provide evidence. How do they do that piece? Because that's one of the really cornerstones of the Common Core.